briefly is mostly inspirational, motivational. I have some fun stuff, but the core of what I do is self-esteem, self-reflection, self-improvement, anything to make you think about transforming your life. Even the fun stuff can be that way. So the papers that you have are all of the poems that I know. I have way more than that, but these are the ones I know by heart. I just put the quotes up because I don't know what's going to happen tonight. So there are 57 poems. Obviously we're not doing 57 poems, but we'll probably get about 15 or 16. That's why there are 16 sheets. Actually, there's 15. I have number 16 here. So whatever the number is on the top of your sheet is the order that we're going to go in for who is going to be tossing out titles for me to recite. So I don't know what you guys are going to ask me to do. Normally when I do these programs, I show up with my list of what I've already planned to do for the night. So this time, I didn't feel like doing that, so I decided to call this UnRehearsed, which is the audience is going to tell me what I'm going to do. So there are a couple of stray sheets, and hopefully someone will come and take them. But if everybody has a paper, so then you get one too. And then maybe Mark, and then they'll all be taken, maybe. If everyone has a paper, whoever has number 1, I think it's you. No, the one behind you. So what you're going to do is you're going to look down the list. Yeah, come here. Okay. You're going to look at the list, and you're going to choose based on how you feel about the title. You're not going to know what it's about unless you've actually heard or read my work. You'll find out when I start talking. So I actually did this at another show when I couldn't decide what poem to do. I asked a friend of mine, I threw out 2 titles, and I said, I'm just going to say 2 titles. You tell me which one I should do. So that's how I kind of got that idea. So this is the night where I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not crazy. I'm not completely unrehearsed. I'm reviewed, but I've not rehearsed in the way that I usually rehearse for these things. So I have no idea what's about to go down, but I will try to give it to you like it is written and not be ad-libbing up here. So who has number 1? So I'm gonna call you Lori because sorry, that's what I know you as, Lori. So if you look down that list, I know there's a lot of poems, but if a title catches your eye, and that's what you're all gonna do. It's based on, oh, I like that title, or I wonder what that's about, and then you tell me that that's what I'm gonna do. So Lori?
Prophecy.
Okay, so that's actually a twofer. So if you look, that's a twofer because prophecy, if you look under that, it says chapter 0, and it says follows prophecy, so Lori's getting a twofer. So it's a part 1 and a part 2. I could do them by themselves, but they really go together. So, also just briefly, a lot of the poems I write, because I'm actually rooted in the art of fiction. So I'm a novelist, and my novels are fiction. I've been a storyteller forever. So when I do these poems, some of them are about my real life, but some of them are not. This twofer happens to be kind of a true story. So the background is this guy told me he was going to make me his woman. And I did not think he had what it took to do that, so I told him, you need to be careful what you come over here talking about you are going to do because you have your work cut out for you. So he failed. But in the process, I kind of started liking him, and I didn't like that because I told him to go sit down somewhere, and he didn't go sit down. And the fact that he failed kind of messed me up because I started liking him in the process. So that's what these 2 poems are about. So prophecy goes like this. My disclaimer was clear on the warning label you received that said making me your queen was an arduous task that should not be taken lightly. But you refused to heed the caution, and instead you pushed ahead with false confidence and feeble attempts that gave rise to my hopes when your charm seeped through my thick layer of doubt, causing it to disintegrate. And your kisses sent shock waves to areas in my fleshy temple that had not felt the rush of a current in 100 fortnights, and led me to believe for a brief instant. But soon, as I had forecast, dark, forlorn clouds formed over the sun in my dreams, and reality began to hail down on my heart, bruising its susceptible shell, forcing it to harden and recoil. As you began to falter with bustling vigor, unable to maintain your stance, ascending the mountain of righteousness you so clearly spoke hastily about being adept to scale, albeit none to my surprise. Warning labels still firmly in place. As the truth of my words became your lies, and you plummeted from the mountain, not the top, because you were so far from it, and I returned, withered heart in hand, to my permanent residence in the town of Square One. Part 2, Chapter 0. I really don't know how many more times I'm going to keep getting on this tired mental ride. The one where I ask myself repeatedly what I'm going to do about this situation with you, which is a joke, because there really is no situation. All that exists is silence, and on my end, questions and sadness and what ifs. You probably think I don't give a damn, that I'm selfish and heartless, and all the other things people call those who don't do the things they want them to do when they want, how they want, and for as long as they want, but it's just not so. I do care. I just don't feel there's a need for me to pretend that we're friends when I know perfectly well that's not all I want to be. Which is why I don't call, or text, or email, or send smoke signals, or transmit telepathic energy in your direction. Because the bottom line is, it doesn't make sense for me to pretend out loud when I can just be true to myself in peace. But the ironic thing is, I really have no peace, since the bigger piece of me wants the piece of us that lived at one time, even though I know having a piece of you is in no way fair to me. Sometimes I just don't care. Because there are moments when I'd rather have a small portion of your soul for an even smaller portion of time than have none of you at all. And that's just the truth. And speaking of truth, I often wonder what yours is, and if it matches mine. And if there's any way we can ever be on the same page where together we can form a complete sentence, then build to a paragraph, then on to a full chapter. And eventually, we'd have a book all to ourselves that would tell the story of our love with plenty of drama, humor, passion, mystery, and conflict, because no relationship can exist without a little discord. But in the end, we're solid, and our spirits are merged just right, and we're happy. And then I don't have to endure this treacherous mind jerk of a voyage that keeps me reading a book about us that probably will never get written. Thank you. All right, so that was the warm-up, right? Come in, come in. Come in. So who has number 2? Chucky.
Vicariously speaking.
Oh, goody. Okay. Okay, so as you'll find, some of them I want you to ask me to do, but I can't tell you which ones those are or I'd be cheating. So, vicariously speaking. This is actually my ode to poetry. I am that voice, your voice, that you never use, because you're too afraid, because you don't know how, didn't know you could, aren't even sure you should. So you keep it all bottled in, sentiment sealed tighter than a mason jar, dying to be popped, so you can release your inside sacred contents. But you don't possess the necessary savvy to embark on that task. A wordsmith, you're not. So I, your honorable rep, graciously step in and handle it for you. I pop your seal, relieve your psychological pressure, allow you to be heard through words you only dream of being capable of conjuring up to express how you truly feel. Take you through the complete emotional gamut. Yes, I tell your darkest secrets, divulge all your personal business, speak candidly about you, your joys and pain, make you laugh, take you down memory lane, back to the good old days, remind you of a time when life was sweet. Then, without missing a beat, I flip the script right before your bedazzled eyes and go into full disclosure about your discontented mental state. Unapologetically dredge up all the contents in your guarded Pandora's box. Let loose the heap of clandestine tales you swore on stacks of Bibles to throngs of trusting souls you'd keep tucked neatly away from the masses forever. I boldly inhabit your fettered tongue, and without the slightest inhibition speak your unaltered truth in ways that sometimes make you squirm, make you sweat, make you cry. Yes, I take it there, dishing info on you that you don't always want me to, because it reminds you of that boarded up room in your weighted conscience that you keep purposely walking past, that you need to clean out. I tell it all, because I have no shame in my lyrical game, but you do, which is why you rely on me. Hide behind me. Use me to confront others in ways you know you never will. I'm your audacious partner in crime, always down to do your dirty work. The colossal set of balls you long to one day own, and that you pay me to borrow, if you could. I'm at your service 24 hours a day. Whatever you need me to say, I will find a way. 'Cause I'm versatile, shrewd, my inflections are infinite, incomparable, and basically, I'm just that damn good. Allow me to formally introduce myself. My name is Poetry. I don't think I need this mic. I'm going to free myself up a little bit. Who has 3? Tell me your name again. Isaiah. Okay. So, did you look at the list? Oh, you picked a good one. Okay. So, Revelationary Tears. Someone asked me to write a poem about this process. So, I did this for her, but it turned out to be for everyone. So, this is Revelationary Tears. What color are your tears today? Are they red, representing the anger you harbor, causing your blood to boil and set fire to your soul, telling the stories of the grudges you carry, the fingers you point, and the blame you lay upon others? Does the heat from your wrath-ridden tears singe your cheeks as they erupt from your eyes like lava, your crippled spirit working overtime to purge itself of all the unhealthiness, feasting heartily on your immune system, hardening your heart, causing it to remain closed and unforgiving? Are your tears green, symbolizing the envious, destructive monster residing within you, eroding your good fortune, inciting moral upheaval, propelling you into the throes of mental seizure, prompting you to lash out verbally and physically at those who are living the life that you covet, steadily advancing while you drown in your sea of jealousy, choking and gagging on the waves of resentment and spite that rise up and then crash down on you, sending you deeper into the realm of hate? Secretly hoping for others' failure, yet at the same time wishing you could be in their shoes because you know you lack the substance to find your unique path and walk in your own? Are your tears yellow, shedding light on the pounds of worry you lug around with you on your back like an overstuffed knapsack of boulders, keeping you in an incessant tizzy, fretting about the who, what, where, when, why, and how of it all? Racking your brain for ways to combat the onslaught of questions that harangue you, even in your sleep, fighting to escape the trepidation, but in the process only creating more weight adding up, boulders of agony so plentiful they begin to tumble out and break apart at your feet, journeying you even further into the abyss of emotional hell, a free trip that you keep taking, for which you would gladly fork over your life savings to be brought back from, mentally sound and void of the shackles of tumult. What color are your tears today? Tell me, are they gray, portraying your high level of confusion about your life's direction, decisions you have yet to make, uncertainty about the ones you already have? Every day playing the same tedious and useless game of cerebral ping pong with yourself, bouncing unstable thoughts back and forth across your mind's cluttered table, filled with all the items you vowed to tend to but have no clue how, driving you insane because the game is stuck on repeat no matter how hard you try to end it. And the little thought balls bounce so fast, so hard, and so loud that all the commotion in your head makes your heart palpitate with fury, and your nervous system becomes overloaded with stress, and you find yourself constantly at the precipice of a small breakdown. What color are your tears today? Are they black, revealing the deep-seated state of depression you're in that renders you unable to function on the most basic human level, compelling you to shut out the world at large, turning your back on everything you know is healthy and good for you, leaving you curled up in a self-defeating ball in bed, covers pulled completely over your head, heartache so potent that your entire being numbs, and nothing else in the universe matters except the reason your tears are flowing such a dark, ugly shade of black. And when they stream down onto your lips, then seep into your mouth, they're the most bitter-tasting substance you've ever known. But you don't care, because right now you're wallowing, and you don't intend to come up for air. So you drink those pungent, torment-filled drops down in gulps. You swirl them around on your tongue, tasting the devastating reality of your state of mind. You ingest them in their poisonous contents so you can recycle them, then spew them again and again until your soul's well runs dry. Is this what color your tears are? Tell me, when was the last time you cried revelationary tears? healthy, productive tears that have no color. They run clear because they exhibit the mental clarity that comes from making a conscious decision to face your life. Examine where it needs improvement. Admit that revamping your existence is necessary. Ask yourself the questions that you keep avoiding and finally answer them honestly. Hold yourself accountable for your actions and feelings. Point the finger at yourself and leave others out of it. Find some humility. Call forth abundant appreciation. Administer apologies where needed. Muster up the courage to unpack your baggage and acknowledge and sort through your issues. Make the effort to be responsible for your own happiness. Take the time to know yourself and what you need. Then once you do, find a way to honor those needs no matter what anyone has to say about it. Dry your red, green, yellow, gray, and black tear-stained face and allow yourself to enter into a full-fledged human revolution, a transformation of the soul that'll provide you with joy, comfort, strength, confidence, compassion, wisdom, and most of all, revelation. And from that will come relief. And the revelationary tears will stream down your face, rest atop your lips, then drop onto your tongue and leave you with nothing but the sweet taste of victory. The knowledge that you're in control, that fulfillment is yours, and you'll swallow your painful past. Wash it right on down with a mouthful of soul-freeing revelationary tears. Smile at your hopeful future. Move swiftly towards your newfound mental sovereignty and hold tight to it. What color are your tears today? Clear, I hope. Okay. Who has 4? Who has number 4? Monica. You have a question?
No, I have a poem for you.
Oh, wait, no, okay, wait. Give Jackie, give her, wait, hold on. Pass her that. Hold on. You get your own list. Okay, so Monica has 4.
Okay.
So the number on the top is your number.
I got you.
So,
Okay, I'm number 7.
okay, that's okay. Yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah. It's okay.
I got it on my phone.
Do you guys want to come and sit?
Where's that?
Okay,
One of
Monica.
the chairs up front.
Okay, I would like to do the misinformed and the shoe
Of course you do. Okay. Monica wants me to do my signature poem. So I wrote this poem back in 2008, and I had no idea. I knew what I was doing, but I had no idea what it was going to turn into. So this actually ended up being my key poem. So this is the poem that I would do at venues, and no matter what other poem I did after that, everybody wanted to hear the shoe poem. It's not called the shoe poem, it's called Misinformed If the Shoe Fits, but nobody cares about that. All they want to know is, am I going to do the poem about the shoes? So, I'm going to do Misinformed If the Shoe Fits. I guess you thought that after we were done, my world would fall apart. Crumple to little pieces like, you know, like when an earthquake hits, and the ground breaks, and buildings, they separate, then come tumbling down? Yeah, like that. But somebody done told you wrong. See, I just want to set the record straight so you can tell the story the way it's supposed to be told, not with your own twists and turns, embellishments and enhancements, trying to puff yourself up and deflate me in the process. The real story goes like this. I knew I was in too deep real early on. It was going to have to back that thing up and out the door. Right around the time you started treating me like some old hand-me-down trinket, or better yet, like that old dusty pair of shoes. You know, the ones way in the back of your closet, the ones you only pay attention to every blue moon because you got 11 other pairs of shoes that are so much more important. Yeah, like that. And I guess you thought just because I loved you and I really did want us to work, that I was going to let you keep shoving me in the back of the closet, allowing dust to collect on all my good love while day after day, you chose other shoes over me. But somebody done told you wrong. Because while you traipsed around town with your feet in all those other shoes that didn't even fit you right, that gave me time to breathe, to air out, so to speak. You know, like neglected shoes have time to do when they've been cast aside. And I started making plans to get to stepping to another closet, where I would no longer be the old, forgotten, and mistreated shoes, but instead I'd be the all-purpose shoes. You know the all-purpose shoes. The ones you love so much that no matter how many other pairs you have, you just can't seem to keep your feet out of them. Yeah, like that. And I guess you might have got beside yourself, started thinking you were cute and thought that no other feet could replace yours. But somebody done told you wrong. Because what had happened was, one day while you were out wearing down the soles on one of those other unfortunate pairs of shoes, I got up, blew the cobwebs off me, laced myself up nice and tight, and eased on down the yellow brick road. And what I found when I got to the end was more love, respect, admiration, honesty, and special treatment than I ever knew existed. And you know what the best part was? There were no other shoes there but me. So I know once you realized I was long gone and what you had lost, you kicked yourself real hard. And then, not understanding that whole concept of appreciating and nurturing the exceptional relationship you have, because you rarely find true love more than once in a lifetime, well, you thought you could just run out right quick and find all that you had in me at the drop of a hat. But somebody done told you wrong. Because when you got out there in that vast sea of shoes, oops, surprise, surprise, you couldn't find the right size. There were none out there that fit you as perfectly as I did. And there you stood, barefoot and out of luck, while I was off with my new boo getting shined and polished and buffed on a regular basis, and loving every step those new feet and I took together. Yeah, like that. I know you thought that in time you'd be okay without me because you had all those other shoes lined up waiting to be the new me. But guess what? Somebody done told you wrong. You've been misinformed. Thank you.
Number 17, abracadabra.
Okay. There's no story behind this. I just wanted to write a love poem. So that's what this is. This is abracadabra. My soul was like an old shrunken sponge left in the sun, abandoned for years, brittle and lifeless, holding crusted and molded memories of a lackluster liaison that I clung to for far too long, draining every bit of mental moisture I had as it silently evaporated, every hope I held for us fading away with each molecule within me. And I became rigid and chafed, my morale so paltry it could be snapped in half by the faintest waft of air on its exterior. But one day you magically appeared, and your overflowing cup of integrity spilled on me, entering every cleft and fiber of my shell, expanding my capacity to trust, filling me drop by drop with the desire to let love in again and welcome it without fear, reviving my savage appetite for the possibility of a new and healthy beginning. And so the show began. First, you pulled me, your hand-picked yet willing audience member of millions, onto your stage and guaranteed me that I would be protected and out of harm's way. Then, sensing my slight apprehension, you waved your wand of insight and knew instantly that although now resuscitated, I was still frail. So you were careful not to pour your love on me too fast and too much. You didn't want to oversoak me and run the risk of drowning me in more than my foundation could handle. So you doused me with it in small quantities. A splash here, a trickle there, just enough to give me a glimpse into the spellbinding world of unconditional love and devotion that awaited me in full, nourishing portions, of which, unbeknownst to me at the onset, I would be more than welcome to engage in as many helpings as my famished being desired. And to assure me that no, my heart was not the object of any tomfoolery, that although sometimes so perfect and too good to be true, you surely must be a figment of my imagination. Indeed, your agenda for me was not an illusion. It was solid, apparent, calculated, and you had every intention of completing each item on that list so that by the time you were done, there would be no way I could refuse to let my guard all the way down and accept your hulking sum of virtue. Yes, by that time, the writing on the wall would be clear. There would be no vanishing into thin air at the precise moment I need you most. No sawing me in half with words that leave my spirit permanently severed. And any actions that would cause my eyes to think they were playing tricks on me by leaving me mystified about who you really are will be circumvented at all costs, because those shenanigans are not included in your act. This showcase is not a farce. Nothing about you is fabricated. You are exactly who and what you allege to be. You will not squeeze me dry and leave me withered. On the contrary, you will dampen my surface each day, allowing me to soak up all your genuineness, leaving me wanting for nothing, because all I need is at my constant disposal. You're the rabbit in my hat, the dove that mysteriously appeared in my empty cage, and the surprise that came tumbling through my trap door when I thought it was locked. So abracadabra, alakazam, I guess I got magic powers too. I do. Which one is that? Who has 6? Oh, okay. Well, hold on.
Dartwood?
Oh, Lord. Okay. I knew somebody was going to ask for that. Okay. Okay. I have to get ready for this. Okay, so yard work. Yeah. Yard work, it started out as an idea when I was at a venue. I was leaving the venue and it was really late. It was like midnight. And a friend of mine was, she had left me some messages and I was sitting in my car and there was no one else around. And I was listening to the messages and I was not paying attention to what was going on around me, and I thought, you need to get up out of this parking lot. It's dark, no one's out here. What if, this is just how my mind works, I've got a vivid imagination. I was like, what if somebody came and smashed your window? So I thought, okay, let me go. So I drove off, but because I'm rooted in the art of fiction, this story came to me. But it turned out to be something very important. So this is yard work. She sat for 1 minute too long at the far end of the desolate parking lot the night her whole life changed. It began a Friday night like any other. The same events took place much the way they did the other days of the week. She came home from school around 4. And Mama's not home because she's pulling that double at the hospital. 1 to 9, 2-hour break, and straight into graveyard. Been working that hustle for nearly 3 years. And little brother's planted in front of the TV with chocolate ice cream smeared all over his mouth like he has every day. He really loves chocolate ice cream. At the ripe old age of 10, he is wise beyond his years, but then again, so is she. After all, they've been taking care of each other since she was 13 and he was 7. See, because ever since Mama got stuck with the doubles, she became the woman of the house, since basically Mama was never there. The only time she and little brother saw her was for about 20 minutes every morning before they rushed off to school. And were it not for those few stolen and fleeting moments, neither of them would be likely to ID her in a lineup if asked. Without taking his eyes off what has him transfixed to the point of near catatonia, he mumbles, "Leftovers in the fridge. I ate mine already." "Cool," she says. "Homework done?" "Psh, of course." "Liar," she quips. Then she leans down and plants an "I love you more than you can ever imagine" kiss on his forehead. He doesn't budge from his reverie, but his vibe shifts as he receives her love and returns his for her in silence. They never say those 3 words, but their beings ooze what they feel for each other. See, they have a bond that no brother and sister should ever have. They have become each other's parent. Pint-sized papa and mini matriarch heading up the household together while Mama pulls them doubles. And Daddy's where he always is at this time of day. Passed out cold in the bedroom, door locked, drunker than 12 skunks and their offspring, dreaming of his next liquor store run in Hennessy whiskey vodka stupor. Laid off the job 3 years back, couldn't get himself to move forward, so he let the almighty liquid courage take him under. Because naturally, the courage never came. And quiet as it's kept, this is why Mama works the doubles, to escape the realities of her fallen marriage and non-ideal life. But you see, she was all about self, because she chose graveyard over spending time with her kids in the backyard like she used to do when things were good. Before her man's manhood got smashed and he stopped manning up, and in lieu, opted to get smashed every day. Well, Mama couldn't take the pain anymore, so she cut out, leaving her kids out there by themselves to take care of a household they didn't ask to be part of. And really, what choice did they have? They were all each other had to hang on to. So that's just what they did. She looked at her watch, counting down the seconds to the highlight of her evening. Her nightly parking lot date with her too-old boyfriend who had too little to offer her, but what did she care? She just wanted to be in the presence of a man. And since presently Daddy wasn't present to present himself the way a father should, well, she found a man to take his place. After little brother was soundly tucked in bed, she snatched up Daddy's car keys, which were always faithfully left on the kitchen table, and drove the 20 miles to meet her knight with no armor, from whom she sought all the wrong kind of amour, seeing as she was 16 and he was 25. Yet every night she made the trek to their private spot, a dark, deserted parking lot to which he could walk since it was only a few shakes from his partner's house where he lived. And being that he had no car, well, you know how it goes. The sacrifice was all hers. Now she knew the rules, but this night, for some reason, she failed to adhere. Look, he told her, if I'm not there when you show up, don't sit in the parking lot. It's too damn dangerous. Just drive around till I get there. And that's what she did. Until this night, when she didn't. This night, no, she didn't feel like circling the block 8 times until she finally caught a glimpse of her mate trotting to the far east corner of a location so murky and obscure, even the boogeyman himself would think twice about entering alone. No, this time, she decided to pull in and call and wait. Totally unaware of her surroundings, she pulled out her cell, opened the flip, positioned her left thumb gently atop the talk button, and before she could apply enough pressure to the key to jolt the call into motion, she heard the crash, felt the violent spray of glass assaulting her face with no mercy, heard the blast that shattered her young, fragile eardrums, and felt the bullet burn through her chest as her body went limp in her father's front seat, a seat no one knew she was in because no one was ever around to watch over her when they were supposed to be. And then she heard beeping, praying, and whimpering, and felt pressure in her nose from all the tubes shoved in it, and aching in places in her body she didn't even know had the capacity to feel pain. And slowly she opened her eyes, just barely enough to see her knight hovered at her bedside, and she wondered what happened and how she got there, and if she was dreaming. But she wasn't dreaming, because her knight did show up to find the mess that was left in the front seat, and he called for help. But the only problem was he couldn't contact Mama or Daddy or little brother because he didn't know any of them. And the only phone number in her cell phone was his. And he never knew her address or her parents' names or where her mama worked or that her daddy was a lush because he never asked and she never brought it up. He caressed her hand as his last words to her toppled from his lips. I told you not to sit in the parking lot. I'm sorry, she forced through her last breath, more childlike than she had ever sounded, one tear streaming down her flushed cheek. And then her eyes closed. And then the doors to her limited and barely lived life followed suit, leaving her boyfriend father alone at her side, her brother father home in bed to awaken the next day to the absence of the only family member he could count on, her inebriated father clueless and binged out, and her mama working graveyard. And sadly, unbeknownst to Mama, the next graveyard shift she'll pull will be at the one where her daughter sleeps. All right, Jackie, you have 7. You better bring up the vibe around here, Jackie.
I want to hear historical reimbursement.
Okay. So I was supposed to be in this show for Black History Month in 2010, and I didn't have a poem. And so I went through hell trying to write a poem so I could be in this show. And so this poem is from that struggle. So this is historical reimbursement. Purebred. I am one of millions of children in a historical movement that has perplexed the masses and the massas for hundreds of years. I am a direct descendant of a miraculous rare breed race that has never been matched. There has never been another that has endured or fought harder to accomplish what my people have. And yet through it all, they managed to love, continue to give, continue to unite and thrive. And all the while they sang, they danced, they found a way to make it okay, to get through the days and the years, the scars, the mental and physical raping, the limitations and tears. Continue to birth more of the same wondrous creations, knowing the climate they would undoubtedly bear. Knowing of each obstacle and setback that awaited them, yet being brave enough to allow the fruit of their loins to enter into the killing fields. Did they not fear for the souls they bore? Did they not pray harder and harder each time they labored through yet another painful welcoming of life? Surely they must have. But then, only those with superhuman emotional strength could triumph over such a state of life repeatedly. Only those with keen intuition could know that this life was the beginning of a better life, a life burdened with a rugged path they knew was their mission to repave and make smooth for those who would travel it in their absence. It was as if they knew all along that our race was the chosen one, the one that could change the game in so many crucial, astonishing ways. The only one that could outsmart those who tried to dig holes so deep in our path that once we fell in, they hoped we would never be able to claw our way out. It was as if they knew that each seed they planted and watered would grow stronger than the last, and that strength would enable them to carve new victories into the passageway they had begun that would take us all the way into a free world. So here I stand, daughter of a lineage of noteworthies, a beautiful, fortunate product of my ancestry, with a grateful heart and a debt to repay, because without their insight and fight, I might not be here to deliver this message, to acknowledge that I owe my roots respect. I owe them every ounce of effort on my part to hurdle each obstacle in my life with fierce determination and vigor, and to come out on top and remain there, never allowing anyone to be successful at killing or damaging my familial pride. I owe them the honor of reflecting on their journey and realizing that they bore the brunt of the worst kind of torture for us, made it possible for us to live the life they always knew our race should be allowed to live, which is why they ran and continued to run. No matter how many times they were captured, they ran again and again and again, and endured worse repercussions each time they were detained. And with each lash across their backs, their resolve only grew stronger, their skin tougher, because packed inside the myriad keloids formed upon my ancestors' bodies from beatdowns designed to crush them spiritually and force them into permanent submission were all the secrets to how they would one day prevail. And as they cried out to the heavens above, they prayed for a better plan, and again they ran, led by their hefty reserve of self-esteem, a deep love of self that can never be beaten out of them, until one by one they found a way out, because my forefathers were some of the smartest, most resourceful people around. Do you have any idea the amount of assurance it takes to know in the depths of your being that you deserve to live a quality, respectable life? And the amount of courage it takes to act on that knowledge every day that you breathe, even at the risk of life and limb? This is what my ancestors handed down to me, the most priceless gift of all, the motivation and audacity to survive. This is how my predecessors represented our race. So here I stand, on the path my relatives built, vowed and committed to blazing a trail along this road that others will celebrate and be inclined to follow for decades to come, ready to leave a mark in this world that would make my forerunners proud, prove that all their hard work was not in vain. I will repay my debt of gratitude through continuing to be the paradigm of Black pride and achieving endless, remarkable feats. Tell me, how will you repay yours?
All right.
Who has number 8?
I do.
Erica!
Soul Sisters.
Oh, okay. So I wrote this about my best friends. And one of them is right there. So I have this, actually, Monica is in the picture that was on the wall that sparked this poem. This is the picture of me, you, and Tamika at the party, or after the party. So I had this picture of us on the wall, and I was writing poetry, and I was looking at us, and I thought about how much I missed them because I had moved to LA, and it was around 2004, and I was missing my girls, and so I wrote Soul Sisters. We sit, the picture snaps, faces fresh, smiles perfect. Look at us, beautiful soul sisters. The love between us runs deeper than oceans, the bond we share stronger than steel. Secrets tightly guarded, we'll never tell. Betrayal does not live here. Don't expect that your arrival will split us apart. Too many years have been put into our solid foundation, and this home of friendship we built will never be torn down. So you may as well get to know her. She is not budging a single inch. Her roots are planted deep. Days flooded with laughter, nights replete with tears, encouragement, understanding, and tough love are what make us soul sisters. Sitting right next to one another are hundreds, even thousands of miles away. Our lives are joined, our hearts are one, and we read each other like books written in cipher. One glance from my eyes to hers, and all is revealed in my subtle twinkle. No words necessary. A soul sister always knows. Do not feel daunted when she looks at you and is well informed of things you've said and done. Accept that it is her job to know, and your secrets are safe with her. She smiles and laughs, but make no mistake, she's got her eye on you. You see, she is my vision when mine is impaired, and I trust in what she sees. Soul sisters work round the clock to protect and serve one another. The unspoken vows we fulfill are for life, ever faithful, ever true, never ending devotion.
All right.
What was that, 8, 9, what?
8.
That was
You're on
9?
nine.
No, we're on 9 right now.
Okay, who's got 9? Oh, yay! Okay, so, okay, that's actually another twofer. That's a twofer. So, all right, so this is one of those poems that started off from something I was trying to deal with, which wasn't anything important. I wanted some Chinese food. I'm just telling you right now. Seriously, I wanted some Chinese food. And I hadn't had Chinese food. And I hadn't had Chinese food in a really long time. So where I live, I hadn't looked for Chinese food in that area. So this one night I was like, man, I need some Chinese food. And there's this place in Oakland. When I used to live in Oakland, there's a place I used to go to called Yang Chow. You know that? See? See? So I used to go to Yang Chow. It used to be down the street from my house. I went to Yang Chow all the time. So since I couldn't find Chinese food where I was like, man, I wish I could get to Yang Chow. And that's as far as that went. But then, because I'm rooted in the art of fiction, this whole story came to me. So this is actually, you asked for SOS, but what comes before that is the last meal. So you have to hear the last meal before I can do SOS. So, the last meal. I remember it clearly. Details as bold as the sun's blinding rays when you step out into its light, and your eyes slam shut on reflex from the shock. Light sensitivity. That's it. I guess we'll call what I had memory sensitivity. It was during our weekly date night at our favorite Chinese food place when the moment crept up on me, resting its hand on my right shoulder, pausing briefly before patting gingerly in that comforting way that someone who cares about you does when they want to let you know it's time to do something important, like leave. Although it startled me a bit, I wasn't totally dismayed by time's appearance. See, I had been peeking at its hands for quite a while, but I tried desperately to avoid acknowledging openly to myself how fast the hour was approaching. But just like catching yourself watching the clock when your favorite show is about to end, feeling that twinge of anxiousness because you hate that you'll have to wait until the following week to see what happens next, I caught myself many times watching our episode come to an end. Only thing is, I knew that once it did, it would be the series finale. It was over our usual meal of shrimp chow mein that our clock's time stopped ticking. You reached over and jabbed your fork into one of the plump, pale pink shrimp on my plate, like you did every week. And normally I would have had my textbook response. A smile, a giggle, then a tap on your hand. But it's funny how when a situation's time is up, things that used to be your norm are no longer appealing. The moment your fork pierced my shrimp, that's when the clock in my mind struck 12. And for some reason or other, watching you make away with that tiny portion of my meal set off all the alarms within me, waking me up to the reality of what we really had, reminding me of the sobering fact that I had been evading. I was late for my appointment with freedom from you. For no other reason than I had simply outgrown you, like a child outgrows its once favorite toy. Pretty soon its allure has vanished, and before long it's shoved off into a corner collecting dust and being ignored, because that child has matured, found new interests, changed, while the toy remains the same, rendering itself useless, like my charade with you. I remember it clearly. The day I did not smile, did not giggle, did not tap your hand. I let you make away with my shrimp without that playful fight, allowing our series to finally end as I watched the credits roll for the last time. Part 2, SOS. Okay, now I have to tell you, this is from the man's perspective. So when I wrote The Last Meal, I thought, I wonder how the guy felt. So I'm going to tell you how he felt. So SOS is the man's view. Tears with her name in them escape from his eyes of despair. Every day that she's gone, every day that he doesn't understand her true reason for leaving so abruptly, each drop that splashes to the floor pleads frantically for her return, calls her back to the moment that transformed the course of his whole life in the span of 3 seconds, and caused her to view him in ways that shut her emotions for him down after so many years. If he could, he would request a do-over. Leave the shrimp on her plate if it meant her heart's direction wouldn't shift. And if that's what it would take to keep her, he would go back in time and change the routine. Maybe hold her hand instead. Remind her of how there's nothing but serenity in his life when she's with him. Or give her one of the shrimp from his plate. Even pick a different restaurant this time. Whatever he could do to prevent her from snapping, diverting, retreating, he would do it. How long had her certainty about their incompatibility been in effect? When was the first time she looked at him and felt less than she had in the beginning when her zeal for him was rock solid and fresh? Why didn't she have the resolve to bring it to his attention then, before she allowed herself to grow apart from him, leaving him to no longer be man enough for her in the end? Isn't that what love is supposed to be about? Attempting to save the ship before it sinks? She could have tried to anchor their bond. He deserved to know what direction she needed him to steer in order to keep her passions for him from submerging. He wanted to be told what adjustments on his part would have kept them afloat. And if he could have been the man she needed while staying true to himself by ensuring that he persisted in being the man he needed to be to maintain his dignity, he would have willingly obliged so they could continue to sail together. Didn't she want to sail with him forever? Apparently not, since she jumped ship without the slightest warning and left him stranded at sea, drowning in unrequited love, all over a piece of shrimp. 10?
My baby daddy.
Oh, I knew somebody was going to ask for that. I already knew that. Now watch what it's really about.
Okay.
My baby's daddy. How many times have I been pregnant by creativity? So many that my brain is sore from birthing all his children. Some of creativity's babies I have lost, though I tried to nurture them. Those seeds were underdeveloped and weak, but soon replaced by one. How I adore my labors of love and their daddy, creativity. He follows me here and there and whispers gently in my ear. Then his love and my love merge, and we conceive yet again another beautiful piece of written expression to share with all the world. Creativity has so much love for me that he can't leave me alone. He likes to tickle my mind and seduce me with ideas. When that happens, I lose all control and I let him have his way. Creativity and me will never be apart. We'll be lovers till the end. Pardon me, I must go. I hear my baby's daddy call. You nasty, Kathy, you nasty. 11? Oh, wait.
I got 11.
You got 11.
Salad and water.
Oh, yay! Okay. All right, salad and water started off. Again, here's what had happened. I was hungry. And I was like, what am I going to eat? And then I remembered I had this salad in the refrigerator. And I was like, oh, I got that salad, right? And then I was like, oh, I'm thirsty. Oh, it's some water. I want some water. So here's the thing. In April, every April is National Poetry Month. And so at that time, I was already trying to think of what I was going to write about for the day. So merging what I was already thinking and my thoughts of what am I going to write about today turned into this poem. But all my stuff always turns into something really important. So this is Salad and Water. She bring salad and water every day now. Say she on a diet. Gotta get back in her size 8s. But she ain't seen 8 since she was 10. Say she knows she been slipping. Truth is, she ain't never been grounded. She only say that because they say she fat. They changed her name from Patricia to Fatricia. She tired of being water cooler fodder. She just want to be cool, not healthy, because see that, she ain't yet been taught. Want to keep them from talking for she snap on Fatricia, do damage to Fatricia, slit the wrists of Fatricia. She hate Fatricia. So she front with this nasty ass lunch. She ain't never ate this many salads in her life. Only salad she know is potato. Hell, she don't even know what kind of lettuce this is. She don't read the ingredients, just grab the damn thing, the water, pay, and go. Today's package say Caesar, but only Caesars she eat is little, usually a large. And she wonders, why they call this thing Caesar anyway? Well, maybe later she Google, but right now, she gotta eat this thing, lick her lips at this thing like it's the smothered fried pork chops, mac and cheese, hot water cornbread waiting at the house, cause these bitches is hawking. Gotta guzzle this water, pretend it's grape, black cherry, or strawberry Kool-Aid. She like options. Always say she walk the block when she done. But what she really do is stand on the corner and sob, wishing she can shed 5 pounds for every tear shed, bawl so hard she choke on the nameless roughage stuck in her throat. Dread going back there, but got no choice. Too bad she can't leave Fatricia on the street. Maybe tomorrow she fake sick, stay home, eat and drink what she really want. Remember to Google Caesar salad while she spend the day with Patricia. Who has 12? Susan has 12.
I'm trying to decide between 43, confidence within, and self-construction.
So which is it? I'll give you 2.
Okay.
Because I love you. So Susan's going to get 2 just because I've been knowing her for 28 years. And I love her. And she fed me really good the other night. Really, really good. You know I'm about my food. So Susan's going to get self-construction and confidence within. Which one shall I start with? Okay. I'll start with confidence within. Okay. Actually, this poem, this is the oldest poem I have. I wrote this, I think I might have been 16 when I wrote it. So this is actually kind of what started the poetry for me. There's confidence within, but it is hidden behind deep-rooted fears about self, about life, about what is or is not possible for one to accomplish. There is confidence within, but it is smothered by other people's words, opinions, and actions. The confidence within is profoundly abundant. It awaits its own release day after day and sits patiently within the crevices of life, remaining steadfast and strong, yet so seldom is it revealed. At times it slips through the cracks of harbored doubt, revealing its presence, its beauty. And there is nothing that cannot be achieved. Nothing is too great an obstacle to overcome. But see, sometimes the confidence within is like the flicker of a light, the blink of an eye, and before it is grasped in full, it is gone. Yearned for, sought after, there, but not in the forefront of a life that craves desperately for its power, its strength. The confidence within is sometimes so far inside us that we cannot grab hold of and distribute it throughout the areas needed in our existence. And so the waiting begins for the next moment it chooses to seep through from the depths to the surface and give that special feeling that only the confidence within can. So, self-construction, this is another one of my signature poems. Actually, it's about tied with Misinformed If the Shoe Fits. And this was actually written during one of my moments. I wasn't trying to eat, actually. I was actually irritated because whatever was going on, I had to be responsible for it. And I was like, I'm sick of that. Why do I always have to be the one? How come she can't do it or he can't do it? And so it turned into this poem, which turned into this big thing. And so self-construction. Every day is a new day for me to add a new brick to this complicated building I call myself. A never-ending structure that requires my full attention and dedication daily, but at the end of the day, the fact remains it won't be any more complete than it was the day before, because in the grand scheme of things, this project was never meant to be finished, only improved upon continuously, made stronger, sturdier, more attractive. The most inspiring model on the block, the one with all the qualities and amenities everyone else wants their selves building to have. And if they spent more time focusing on their own floor plan instead of looking at other people's, it could. Each day I fight to be true to myself and stay on the path myself told me to get on and that I know I belong on. But sometimes myself finds it hard to listen to itself's truth because I'm too busy entertaining the false truth that the leak in my self's roof let seep through and damage the floors my self-esteem was standing on, causing me to fall through to the depths of confusion and despair. And once again, the foundation is in need of repair. But I'm tired, because it took me a long time to put in those floors. Note to self, next time use better quality wood. A new day of construction is a new mystery, because half the time I can't predict what life's weather is going to be or what tools I'm going to need in case of a severe storm, or if I'll even be able to access them. Because sometimes my toolbox is locked and I can't find the key. So if today compassion and patience are what I need, here's hoping Home Depot has them stocked up in the do-it-yourself aisle. Otherwise, the day's work might not get done. See, I try to be nice and invite folks over to see my progress, show them how myself has grown and changed, give them a taste of what I've accomplished so far. But people are careless, and they come in forgetting that I'm a work in progress. And the next thing I know, they've torn a gaping hole in my joy, knocked over my bucket of love, broken my last jar of confidence, sat on my kind heart, spilled hurtful words all over my feelings, and used up every drop of my trust. Then I'm set back what seems like 5 years, all that hard work down the tubes, and I'm sorry I ever let their sorry asses in. Warning to self. Be very careful whom you allow access to the most delicate areas of your establishment from now on, being especially cautious of haters, because they don't give a damn about you or your hard-earned evolution. Sometimes just knowing myself will never be completely built makes me want to go on strike, like not lay another brick, pound in any more nails, or insert those beams. I want to throw my hands up in distress and scream out loud that I've done my best and I can't do anymore. And then I want to kick rocks and just vacate the site for a few weeks. And I even want to picket. But then I realized I'd look stupid picketing my own growth and advancement because there's no one there to fight for myself but myself. And if I'm wasting time fighting with myself over the fact that I don't want to fight to be a better self, then in retrospect, I'm actually being selfish. Because now I'm denying the world my own self-improvement, which is very necessary in order for myself to be able to have healthy relationships and be a positive influence on others. So I guess that idea is out. See, this self-construction biz is personal, so I can't really hire anyone to help me because no one can change or enhance myself except myself, which is sometimes hard for myself to accept, because that means no matter how many ways I try to get out of it, I'll never be able to. I got to do all the work, which I guess isn't such a bad thing after all, because they say if you want something done right, you should do it yourself. Then this work will never end. It's an everyday battle to solidify my self's constitution and make sure each piece is drilled, caulked, hammered, and glued as tight as it can be. So although I know myself will never be complete, I know for sure that as long as myself is at the helm, myself will always be in the best hands. You got 12, right? Who's got 13?
13. Life-altering questions at breakfast.
All right, we're back at Poetry Month, which was this year's Poetry Month. And it's just an idea that came to me. There's really no story behind it. But where's my mother? Of course, my mother got her. I was going to say something about her. Where'd she go? Okay. No, now's not a good time. Now's not a good time. Come back. Come back. Because she hasn't heard this poem. She hasn't heard this poem. Come back. Come back. Besides, someone's in there. Come back. Oh.
Mom, it's not acceptable.
And she needs to hear this poem though, so I'm gonna come back to that. So I'm gonna skip 13 and go to 14,
14.
and then come back to that.
14, us back here. Come on, Rhonda.
Did you do is it Arrivals? No, Departures and Arrivals, did you do that one?
I did not. Okay, so actually, departures and arrivals.
Or validated parkings?
Okay, now which one you want? Okay, departures and arrivals is actually. This is my second novel. It's the sequel to One Man's Treasure. So, Departures and Arrivals was written for this book. So it's in the back of this book, and it has to do with what happened in this book. So, they say you can't go home, but sometimes that's not true. It all depends on what you plan on trying to return to do. There are times you need to leave home so you can get your life on track. And once you do, then it's okay to make your way back. Some people leave home for the wrong reasons, because they're running from their fate. Too bad they don't understand that fate will follow them from state to state. Others are forced to leave when they've made wrong moves or big mistakes, and the people they leave behind are riddled with pain and heartache. Then there are those who leave because their time in one place is done. Those people leave with confidence and can walk, not run. But whatever the reason you go, learn as much as you can while you're away, because there's nothing worse than coming back the same person you left as that day. Leaving home is about growth and change. It's about building a better you. Sometimes the tools needed for construction are in a location completely new. At times the growth is difficult, and you may feel you ventured to the wrong place, and you find yourself in situations you thought you'd never face. Your first impulse is to pack your bag and go right back whence you came. But if you did, you'd be a coward. What a pity and a shame. The only way to rise above all the hardships, pain, and strife is to plant your feet firmly where you stand and fight with your entire life. They say you can't go home, but for some, that remains to be seen. For those who left a manicured lawn may return to find the grass still green. Here comes Mom, so now I can go back to 13 and do life-altering questions at breakfast. Actually, I don't even think she's... Yes, please. I don't even think she's seen this one. Usually, when I write a poem, I usually email it to my mother. She's like the first person that sees it, but I know I did not email this one to her because I wrote several during the month of April, and I don't think I sent any of them to you. Okay, so she doesn't even know what this one is.
Which one is it?
This is life-altering questions at breakfast. Actually, you guys are the first to hear this poem. Because it's here. When she asks you where he is for the first time at age 7, casually, out of the blue, while sitting at the kitchen table, mouth gorged with Cookie Crisp cereal, milk dribbling down her chin, no eye contact, but staring at the side of the box, feigning astuteness of its foreign ingredients. When she lays the $64,000 question in the middle of the table, calmly and assertively, like cross-examination, clearly premeditated and with an air of suspicion. First, miss me with the mock shock in your eyes. You had to know this would happen. It's not like he's ever been there to tuck her in at night, piggyback her around the house, twirl her in her favorite dress and tell her how pretty daddy's little girl looks, or be there at the bottom of the slide to catch her at the playground, drop her off at the school bus, share an ice cream cone, and prop her on his knee to tell her how much he adores her, like all the other little girls' fathers do. Not like she hasn't noticed, wondered, bathed her pillowcase in tears when you turned out the lights at night, hoping he'd become a magician and appear in places other than her dreams. Not like she hasn't wanted to ask you before today. So don't act brand new. Second, brace yourself. This is the single most important question you'll ever answer for her. Don't screw it up. Third, and this may feel like thumbtacks, kung fu fighting in your throat, but swallow your rage for him. Hide your noxious words in the alcove of your voice box and deadbolt them. They're not trustworthy. Detour the fatal venom speeding down your tongue. If you let it crash onto the table and allow its toxic debris to penetrate her innocence, it will destroy her on contact. Your jaws of life won't be quick enough to retract any regrettable utterances or extract her from the spiritual wreckage you'll entomb her in. You'll destroy her. Do not rip her embryonic esteem from her 3-foot soul. She's precious and impressionable, so guard her from your contempt at all costs. Acknowledge the fact that although he left you with the memories of the worst of your merger, he also left you with the best part of him. A lotus flower that emerged from the swamp of your muddy relationship. See, you were pro him when you let him probe you. Now the problem of his absence and how it's affecting you is yours, not hers. Truth is, you don't hate him. You loathe yourself for being an open target for a bullet you were too weak to dodge. So when she unglues her eyes from the side of the box and they meet yours in preparation for the critical reply, smile with everything you've got, no matter how much it hurts, and tell her he's there with her every minute of the day, in her laugh, eyes, walk, sense of humor, the curve of her smile, shape of her little hands, the mole on her chin, the texture of her hair, and all the things she can do that you can't. Tell her how lucky she is, because he's closer to her than he is to anyone else. Grit your teeth if you have to. Hold that smile in place with every thread of strength your face can muster when you profess what a great man he is. Because every bit of good he ever was, every bit of love he ever possessed, he wrapped it inside of her. Thank you. So we went to 14, now we're at 15? Yes, Dante.
Neighborhood in the
Okay, that's another love poem.
Which one?
Neighborhood in the Sky. This was from Poetry Month in 2010. That was a good year. That was a good year. I wrote a lot of poems in 2010 and during April of the Poetry Month. So this was one of them. If Cloud 9 were the mansion that housed the best of both worlds of you, then I would take up permanent residence there and allow myself to get lost in every room filled with your supremacy. Would begin unpacking my belongings on my way to the front entrance, dropping random items about its pathway, marking my territory, making it clear that occupancy has already reached its full capacity, because I set out to own this cloud, put my down payment on it the day I was born, paid my fee of longing, respect, and intrigue every month, early even, and with interest, just so you'd be aware of the severity of my need to reside behind the door of your heart and in the crevices of your affection, while perched daintily in the windowsill of your mind, complete with a superior panoramic view of all your emotions, soaking up every drop of light and warmth that radiates from your mammoth essence. And throughout the days, I would nestle bits of my sweet-smelling adulation for you in the corners of every one of your closets, so that each time a door were swung open, its scent would drift into the cavity of your esteem, freshening the air of your ego's bedrock, emboldening you in ways that only my specific aroma can, because it's tailored to your mental chemistry, enabling you to call forth recognition of your own hierarchy in reference to the long line of inferior clouds in the hood. But humility bleeds from your walls, so I would have no need to concern myself with my well-formed bundle of mist suddenly erupting with a hailstorm of narcissistic actions, because you're far too settled for that, which only makes me want to invest myself in you that much more and brag day and night to all those whose mediocre clouds are lacking the wealth of attributes you shelter. See, I would likely never have the desire to view the inside of Cloud 10, Cloud 11, or any of the other clouds on our street, since the one I purchased was fluffed and filled with only me and my every need in mind, and provides me with all the protection and necessary comforts that a home should. So be advised, that escrow on Cloud 9 has now closed. And this one-of-a-kind atmospheric suspension has officially been taken off the market, no longer available for viewing. And those interested in owning a slice of heaven such as this are strongly encouraged to seek similar clouds to float on, remaining armed with the knowledge that they will never find in theirs the bevy of unmatched characteristics supplied in mine. Thank you. I have number 16, and the only reason I have it is because I wasn't sure we'd have enough time, so who wants number 16? Caitlin wants number 16.
And I'll only ask you to do one, even though I have known you for 30 plus years. Oh, such options. Okay. Bang.
Ooh, girl. Girl. We're gonna go out with a bang.
Which one is it?
Bang. I'm trying to think of the story behind this. I know it took me all day to write this poem, and I think I cried during the process. I mean, I really struggled to get this written. So, this is Bang. Cruising down the street with his boys, dusk rapidly approaching, he steering, they blunt token, beer sipping, backseat driving. Midweek, grown men all should be working, but lazy, full of excuses. They say minimum wage ain't working for them, and the man don't understand the difficult plight of the black man, so they take a stand together. No goals, because there's strength in numbers, and misery sure loves company. He sees her walking, no, gliding with the grace of a gazelle. Stride so fluid, her feet may as well not even touch the ground. Poetry in slow motion, who is she? Mesmerizing him with all that body. Oh, so much body banging. He contemplates, salivates, can't think straight. He can't wait, because he got plans to bang her brains and back out. Jaw drops, brakes hit, pit stop. He rolls up, she looks up, sees, please, is he serious? He all smiles, gold teeth sparkle. She offended, disgusted, and it shows. He don't care though, because the Mac has begun and it won't stop till he's done conquering his delectable prey. So as they say, it's on. But she keeps it pushing because she's on a mission and she ain't got time for this. He's dismissed. She, neck rolling, attitude salty, bangs viciously, verbally on his beat up ride, his weak ass lines, his roughneck way of life, his grill that shines. Calls him a scrub, all this in front of his crew, the ultimate snub. Then rolls her eyes and picks up pace triple time. Mistake. Why couldn't she just say no? Why did she have to go there? Didn't anyone ever tell her it's not nice to always verbalize what's in the forefront of your mind? Could be hazardous to your health, might lead to your demise. But I guess she didn't get that memo. But it's too late now because temperatures rise as his blood boils over. She's gone way overboard. And disrespect is a pill he will never swallow. He, seething, rolls faster, hands trembling, face twitching, ego torn down in 12 seconds flat. His posse on deck, they all got his back. Obscenities spew, threats turn to promises. He reaches for his trusty problem solver, fully loaded. Small enough to fill his pocket, but big enough to fill his murderous desire to snuff her out with one bang. She alone, no one to protect her. They, a pack of livid hounds, holding years of pent-up aggression in their hearts, evacuate car, throw her in bushes, and attack mercilessly, beating, raping, 4-to-1 helpless soul, and she shrieks and wails till she goes hoarse and her will shuts down because no one hears her. Or do they? Maybe they just don't care. Then he, intending to permanently quell her oral struggle, cocks pistol, lays itchy finger on trigger, aims as crew members watch, wait, anticipate, but is suddenly interrupted by loud voices and footsteps and is distracted and looks away for mere seconds, long enough for her to strike the gun out of his hand and yell for help like her life depended on it, 'cause it did. And then chaos ensued, and troops scattered in 4 different directions, and all of a sudden, together they stand, turned into every man for himself, 'cause that kind of misery don't want no company. See, he's a gangster, a thug, a hoodlum, who don't give a damn about nothing but taking and getting all that he can, no matter what the stakes. And daily he makes his mama cry and wonder why he can't be more like his baby brother, the one they lost some years back in a fatal drive-by. Because see, they live in the heart of the ghetto where the streets have no eyes, so they can't see who you are and how hard you try to live right. And they really couldn't care less. He was such a good boy. Now she has double the heartache because she lost her best, and her first is putting her sanity to the test, and she cries out loud every morning, "Lord, surely you jest. Please tell me why." See, she had no help because his daddy was an absentee, and she tried her best to rear that boy into a man, but everyone knows it takes a man to do a man's job, so all she really ended up doing was a bang-up job raising a mama's boy with no solid foundation, who turned to the streets for male attention and got sucked in by wolves in sheep's clothing. And she spends every day trying to forgive herself for failing him. He, still living at home with mama, returns wee hours of the night, crime on his mind, on his hands, and in his eyes. Mama, none the wiser, sleeps, while he, guilty of sin, retreats, unremorseful, until intrusive banging at front door, 5 a.m., wakes up mother and son. Police come for him. Mama opens. They push past, heated. Where is he? The accountable one, attempting to flee, is brought down with brute force. He resists. They pull out batons and bang his head repeatedly, while Mama's heart breaks all the way open. No amount of love that pours from her shattered vessel can save her troubled sea, for his finally worn out freedom's welcome. And now a new home awaits him. No cronies around to watch over him any longer. Identified, booked, strip searched, and already claimed by men with tainted thoughts, he spends countless irretrievable years rotting away spiritually, cursing his fate, and listening to the ear-shattering sound of prison doors that ceaselessly go bang. So that is actually all of the list, but I'm going to do one that I feel like doing as the last poem, as if I need to look at this list. Okay, I'm going to do re-release because I love that poem. This is re-release. Release yourself. Give me so much that you borrow snippets from my storeroom to revisit your memories. Let me be your bookcase. Assemble your biography among my shelves. In no particular page order, I will arrange them to suit the way I want to read you each day. Favorite chapters first. Details embedded within me so well that on your worst days, I can be the mirror of your experiences. Reflect back to you the best parts of your happy. Take your focus off the trauma on page 32, devastation 76, betrayal 210. No worries. As specialist of your words, I know which to extract. And with them, I will feed you back to mental nourishment. Scatter the healthiest phrases across your tongue and tell you, let them marinate. Inject your buds with the savory taste of every smile, laugh, and felicitous moment that has ever been yours. Now swallow. Let their medicinal properties flush out the virus that contains your skeleton truths. Allow me to wipe up the remnants. You are not contagious. I'm not afraid of the hideous that may seep from your soul, the parts you try to edit out, fearing my rejection. I will always offer the best critique of you. Insert my rave review at the end, addendum to everything you deem unworthy of public knowledge. I'll revive your chronicle, capitalize on all of its splendor, publish a second edition, then release you back to yourself so you can relive your saga through my narrative. Seize its merit, give it 5 stars, and claim yourself bestseller like I do. Thank you.